So I made a video about 4 days ago talking about Liverpool's plan for the transfer window, and I said it looks like they're going to bring 2 to 3 key signings in. I'm pretty sure one of them will be ADM, with Endo always being a short-term signing and not being an Arne Slot type player. And well, I think everyone knew that Liverpool were probably going to sign number 6 in the window. But when David Ornstein says it, Liverpool fans, you can then start to get some excitement that you are looking to sign number 6. It's been confirmed by Ornstein you're looking to sign number 6. But what kind of 6 are you looking to sign? Who is the number 6 that Liverpool want to sign? Because we've got a little bit of info which can narrow it down to a short list of players that Liverpool may be trying to sign. The info we've got is that Arne Slot is thought to prefer a more technical number 6 and one that can prosper playing in a double pivot, but also potentially as a lone 6. Ornstein revealed that Liverpool have identified a target, pursuing a specialist 6 from outside the Premier League, worth keeping an eye on the situation this week and now moving ahead with that role. Now, Michael Edwards is back when Liverpool are very secret about that, but who could that specialist 6 be from outside the league? When you look at what Slot wants, comfortable in possession, press resistant, good in tight spaces, progressive and close control. Now, I'm going to be honest, there's 4 names that, looking at it realistically, stand out in terms of ticking every profile. I'm not talking about Agate or Edison. None of those players that everyone keeps mentioning. 4 names, particularly 2 data-wise, that may stick out to Edwards, so stay tuned for that. But here was just a list of DMs. Now, obviously, some of the DMs on this list, Kamara, Aston Villa, probably out of budget. Wharton of Palace, I think Liverpool like him, but I don't think Palace will sell yet. Other players like Gorna Dua, maybe a bit young, and Liverpool may want someone more ready-made. Now, Sander Berge is an interesting one because he was in the background of Ornstein's sort of picture when he posted the news about, Slot looking at a DM. Could be one to watch, but I think Liverpool will get a bit more funds for a DM. Now, this is just a name of a number of players. I don't know if Kimmich is who you'd look at. I think players like Kuhlman, I think, he's got Matt Sweefer's physicality, but he's more of a destroyer. Ugarte is more of a destroyer, despite the Man United deal being off. I think there's 4 names on this list that I think really match what Liverpool want. And if I was going to be honest, if I was to pick a player that I think would be perfect for Liverpool, it'd be Bruno Guimaraes, but that's not going to happen. Bruno Guimaraes is who I'd pick. I actually put sort of elements of Matt Sweefer and Rodri in data, which I think is what Matt Sweefer, which is probably the kind of DM that Slot would want, and it came out of Enzo Fernandez. But I don't think you're going to get Enzo Fernandez as well. So who are the 4 players that stood out? Zubimendi and Varela were 2 players that stood out. I think 2 players that a lot of Liverpool fans have been looking at in terms of their technical attributes, ability to play as a lone 6, dual 6. But there was another 2 names that absolutely stood out that I think Michael Edwards could be looking at these 2 names more than anyone, followed by Varela and Zubimendi in terms of what the data has shown about Liverpool's DM. And you might be asking, Alice, who are these players? Well, the guy in the Real Betis shirt is a guy called Johnny Cardoso, a name that's been going around a little bit more lately, with Manchester United and Liverpool both in need of DM, and a guy that kind of fits the profile that both teams need. And number 4, Angelo Stiller. If I think Edwards is going with this data-driven approach, and I know that Richard Hughes is obviously going to be part of that, I do think Stiller's probably the name that would stick out. So these are my 4 picks for Liverpool. When I think of the type of DM Liverpool want, the info we've got, the DMs on the market, some of these aren't actually DMs, so a lot of these are 8s that can play in a dual pivot. These are the 4 names that stand out. So let's talk about these players and why I think this could be one of the 4 players Liverpool are looking at, and why these would be my 4 picks, knowing what we know. So let's talk about Cardoso. He's 22 years of age. He plays for Real Betis. He's a defensive midfielder, and this has been his real first impressive season. Now, Liverpool, got Fabinho in after a very good season at Monaco and built upon that. And this is a very long-term Liverpool signing, something they would do. Now, I say out of all the players on this list, I'd say this guy is probably the most comfortable out of possession when it comes to duel winning, reading of the game, positional, ground coverage, ball winning. I think this guy is the most comfortable out of the 4. There's also a couple other names I'm going to mention at the end of the video that could be ones to watch. Now, I think in terms of physical frame, biomechanics, he's probably got the most similarities to Matt Sweefer. And I think, you've got Gravenberch, who's somewhat physical, Soboslai is somewhat physical. But, if you want a real guy that could partner McAllister well, this could be the one. Now, I think you want a 6. You probably have McAllister, Gravenberch, or Soboslai in the 8, or one of those in the 10. I think Harvey Elliott's also in competition for the 10. I think it could be Harvey Elliott, McAllister, or Soboslai that play on the 10. I think it could be Gravenberch could play in the 8, McAllister could play in the 8, or the 10, or the 6. He's very versatile. So it's like you've got a lot of options, but this guy, in terms of the out of position work, could be one of the best because he's very good at winning duels, he's very good physically, he's very good mentally, and he's very good on the ball. And I think that's the three elements you want to tick. His ball-playing ability to recycle the ball, carry the ball, break lines, progress bait, and be press-resistant fits what Slot wants. I wouldn't say he's as technically gifted as a Zubimendi or Varela, but I think he can be moulded into a very gifted player. I think it's one to watch. I think it's a bit of a rogue name, and I think Liverpool are always full of surprises. They sign people you don't always expect, and you think, actually, that's a very good signing. So this is one of the options, I think, going in. Now, if you look at him in a bit more detail on him, defensive duels one, he does rank first for under 25 midfielders. He is a good duel winner. He is good off the ball, but he is a lot better on the ball than Endo. You compare him to Rodri, and you can see here, he does beat Rodri in a lot of the defensive metrics, but on the ball, Rodri does beat him. But Rodri obviously plays for a more possession-based side, which is why Rodri's possession-based statistics will be better because of a lot more of the ball, and he plays for a less possession-based side, although Real Betis have played some good football, and that could be why his off the possession statistics are better. Now, here's probably the name that is the most standout, I think, that I've seen online. And I think that could be because of the price. Now, the price once was rumoured to be 35 million, but I actually wrote this in March when I spoke about what Liverpool could do in the transfer window, and I haven't edited this since March. So hopefully, this isn't up to date. Understudy to Endo can be even better. I think if you sign a DM, you sell Endo. And I don't think he'll be as cheap as 35 million, but I did write this in March. And I thought, well, there's no point changing it because I haven't actually watched him play since March. I watched him play a little bit early last year, and then I did a bit of analysis on him. So I thought I might as well keep this. So he can play as a 6, he can play as an 8. He's best in the deeper role. I think he is more of a natural 6 despite being best in the pivot, which is what Slot will want. And he provides passing options for the defence. I think in terms of build-up, in terms of someone that can drop deep, be the first receiver in midfield, in terms of press resistance, passing range, retention, elements of Rodri when it comes to scanning and awareness, this guy's probably got the technical abilities that Slot will want. There may be, room for improvement, maybe defensively, maybe elements of, his physical game, but I think he's pretty good, pretty solid there. I think in terms of what he does on the ball, in terms of if you want a Rodri-esque player, I think he's good. I think he's good at closing down large space. I think he's aggressive. He always shows for the ball. I think in possession, this guy will tick every box that Slot will want. He's a number 6 that plays in the double pivot. He's got technical abilities very similar to Rodri. He's adapted well and physically to Europe's demand. His ground work rate, he's got a good work rate and good ground coverage and brilliant passing range. And I think he ticks a lot of boxes of what Slot will want. Another guy that will tick a lot of Slot's boxes, a very obvious one, is Zubimendi. Now, there could be some concerns about him physically, but I think on the ball, like Varela, you're not going to question this. This is what I wrote on him. Brilliant on the ball qualities. High volume of passes, press resistant, elite technical security for a 6 while being a great duel winner and deep line playmaker and distributor. He can distribute the ball. He can be the deep line playmaker. He's a very creative player. People mistake him as a lone 6. He's not a lone 6. He's a deep line playmaker. Kind of like Ruben Neves in his sort of prime. Good ball winner, good duel winner, very press resistant, very good technically. You saw that he was able to cover for players like Rodri at Spain and set the tempo. Slot likes to play out from the back. Zubimendi would be very keen, build up ball progression, a little bit like Varela, but he's played in a bigger league and he's got that more experience behind him. And if Liverpool wants someone more ready-made, maybe they'd be more comfortable with Zubimendi. He can move the ball a lot quicker than Endo, able to pick out teammates with his good passing ability and connect defence to attack. His strengths would be ball retention, dictating play and breaking the lines, and he can play as a dual pivot or a lone 6, although questions over physicality may be a worry. I think he would be fine. I think Zubimendi would be a very good option. In fact, all of these 4 names that I'm listing, Zubimendi, Stiller, obviously all going to be good names, and of course Varela and of course Cardoso. I think they would be my 4 picks, assuming that's what Liverpool want. There's other DMs I actually like on this list that I would probably pick for United, but I think there's certain players like Anton Stach that could be more suited to United, but I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool looked to him. Fofana could be more suited for United, but I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool looked at them as well. But let's talk about, to be honest, who I think is perfect for Liverpool. If I was going to pick a DM for you guys to sign, it would be someone that's rubbish, obviously, because I want you to lose. But if I was, working for Liverpool and I had to think who Michael Edwards would pick, I'd probably go with Stiller. And that's why I've saved him till last. But there's a few other names I'm going to mention in a minute. Slot wants a technician, not destroy. Someone that could play in the dual pivot or as a lone 6. And there is this man Stiller. Very good under pressure in tight spaces, brilliant in build up and a good ball progression. I mean, I've said the same thing for the last 3 players, but we're talking about technical players that play in a dual pivot, but could play as a lone 6 and be the defensive one to give Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, McAllister, whoever it is they're playing alongside, a little bit more freedom. But this guy has one of the best passing ranges in Europe. Will also very good defensively. I think he's better defensively than Zubimendi and Varela. I think Stiller beats Zubimendi and Varela defensively. And decent dual winner, ground coverer, which is what's Mats me for had. He had that very unique frame. Now, you look at midfielders with the most progressive passes against top 7 leagues. There's Edison there. Now, you guys have been linked to Edison a lot. But from what I'm aware, you're not going to get him. I feel like that's been debunked. But maybe I'm wrong. But you were linked to Edison a lot. If I was going to guess, I guess you'd say Edison because that's who you've been linked the most. But I think that's been debunked that Atalanta are not going to sell. And Liverpool may deem it a risk because this is his first good season. Enzo Fernandez, I think, ticks a lot of boxes. I know he's not an actual 6'6", but as a McAllister partner, but you're not going to get him, and he's a bit of a knobhead, isn't he? So, yeah, you look at Stiller second there. Now, you look at this, and I love these maps. I think they're really interesting, and I think this will be really interesting to look at other targets, not just that, but Stiller's at the top. Rodri's right at the top for accurate progressive passes, but as well as defensive duels won, Stiller's at the top. Stiller has better defensive duel rate than Rodri, and is second best after Rodri for accurate progressive passes. You look at players there, I mean, Pascal Gross of Brighton's right up there. One of the most, I'll tell you this now, Gross of Brighton is one of the most underrated players in Europe. McAllister's pretty high. There's some good names in there. Yusuf Fofana. Yusuf Fofana's one to watch. I know he's close to joining AC Milan. I think that's one to watch. I think Yusuf Fofana is my ideal pick for United because I'm trying to be realistic. And then there's names at the bottom that I don't think you'll be looking at too much. But you can see this map is a very interesting gauge of sort of midfielders out there. Bruno Guimaraes is quite high. If I could pick someone for you guys to sign, if that would be the best player for you, it would probably be Bruno Guimaraes. But Newcastle are not going to sell. You look at Stiller against, top 5 league under 23s midfielders because he is 23 and he ranks first for passes, forward passes, progressive passes, passes into the final third for long passes, and third for interceptions. He's statistically, I think if Michael Edwards is really going with this data obsession, I don't see how Stiller doesn't stand out. There's other names on there. Wharton's more of an ex-season signing. Fofana could be one to watch if you maybe can't afford who you initially want. But I think he's a bargain on the market. Kakare, I think, is more like McAllister, to be honest, but you never know. I think he's more of a second midfield signing. And Anton Stach is someone that could be available for a good price, but I do think he's more suited to United, more for his off-the-ball qualities. Now, Liverpool fans, let me know in the chat who you'd like to sign. But based off the information that we do know about the type of 6 that Slot wants, the type of 6 that Liverpool are looking at from Ornstein, I would guess that one of these 4 might be the names that they're looking at. One of these 4. But there's obviously a list of a lot of names on here. I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of the names on this list. I mean, some of them I would be, actually. Some of them I don't think fit what Liverpool want to do. But let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.